In this video, we're looking at how plants make their food. By the end of the video, you should be able to recall the reactants in photosynthesis, describe the role of the stomata in photosynthesis, and explain how the leaf is adapted to its job. Each and every plant within the plant kingdom has special characteristics which allow us to categorize them as plants. One of these unique characteristics is the ability to produce their own food. And because every single food chain on the planet must begin with a producer that produces its own food, every single food chain must begin with a plant. But before we begin, let's review by looking at the different parts of the plant. These are the roots. The roots have two main functions. The first is to hold the plant in place, and the second is to absorb water from the soil. The roots are specially adapted with root hair cells which enable the plant to have a much larger surface area and therefore collect as much water as possible. The roots are adapted to be able to absorb as much water as possible from the soil. The surface of the roots contain root hair cells. You can see that the root hair cells have this extra section which sticks out, giving it a much larger surface area. This means that it can absorb more water from the soil, then move it to the xylem and phloem tubes to transport to the rest of the plant. This is the stem. The stem contains tubes called xylem and phloem which transport water that is collected by the roots and the food that the plant makes in its leaves throughout the entire plant. Dissolved in the water that the roots collect are very small quantities of minerals such as potassium, nitrogen, and magnesium. Although these minerals are useful, they're not actually used by the plant as food. It's the same way that we drink mineral water. The minerals that are found within this water are the exact same minerals that a plant absorbs through its root system. But this is not a meal. We don't get all the energy that we need from water, and neither do plants. So where do they get their food from? Plants make their own food in a reaction called photosynthesis, and they get the energy that they need to carry out this reaction from the sun. Photosynthesis is where the plant gathers carbon dioxide from the air, water from the soil, and collects the light energy from the sun. So the word equation for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water gives glucose plus oxygen. The oxygen that the plant produces in photosynthesis is released back into the air, and the glucose, which is a form of sugar, is used by the plant for its food. So, how do plants gather the ingredients needed for photosynthesis to occur? The carbon dioxide contained in the air can pass through the tiny holes in the underside of the leaf called the stomata. These holes are controlled by guard cells. If there is enough light and the plant can photosynthesize, the guard cells open the stomata and gases can go in and out. If there is not enough sunlight, then the guard cells close the stomata and stop the carbon dioxide going out. But, more importantly, they make sure that the oxygen stays within the leaf so that it can be used in respiration. When the carbon dioxide gets through the stomata into the leaf, it goes into the mesophyll layer. This layer has loads of space to allow the gases to diffuse around and get to where they are needed in the palisade cells near the top of the leaf. The palisade cells are where the photosynthesis reaction occurs. These cells contain lots of chloroplasts. It is these chloroplasts which contain the chemical chlorophyll. Chlorophyll takes the energy from the sunlight and absorbs the red and blue light to use in photosynthesis. The green light is reflected, and this is why plants look green. The upper and lower epidermis act as a barrier to microbes and other unwanted organisms in order to help keep the leaves healthy. And finally, the waxy cuticle on the top of the leaf creates a waterproof layer which stops plants from losing water through evaporation. So overall, it must be said that leaves are perfectly adapted for their function. Their large surface area allows them to collect as much sunlight as possible, and their thin shape allows carbon dioxide to easily diffuse to the palisade cells. Overall, leaves are the perfect photosynthesizing machine. Have you got it? Test yourself by answering the following questions. What are the reactants in the photosynthesis equation? How do the stomata help in photosynthesis? And explain how the structure of the leaf allows it to do photosynthesis.